Good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. I am AmalgamAsh and today I want to go over the download, installation, and use of Jagonz crafting system plugin for RPG Developer Bakin. This is a paid plugin and I'll put a link in the description to the place where you can acquire it. This plugin provides for you a fully featured crafting system with a variety of different options to make it truly yours. I've made one video about the installation and use of this plugin, however, it kind of dragged on for quite a bit, so I wanted to make a short form video about it. So here we go. First of all, download the crafting system zip file and unzip it to your folder of choice. Go into your crafting system folder and you'll see that you have four things: a script folder, a crafting layouts file, plugin file itself, which is a .dll, and a readme. The readme contains your licensing information and very helpful links. The next thing you'll want to do, and this might be the easiest way to do it, is to open a new Explorer window, go into your C drive, program files x86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and Bakin. Here you'll see a plugins folder. Double click on that, copy your Jagonz crafting plugin.dll and paste it right into your plugins folder. Now what's cool about this step is whether you have one project or 100 in Bakin, you don't have to do this step again. This plugin is now basically installed in the engine itself. Anyway, this step is done. The next thing we're going to do is going to be specific to the project that you're working on or the game that you're trying to make right now. We're going to copy the script folder, just copy the whole thing. And you'll have to know exactly where your project folder is. You can get that in Bakin by just looking at the upper right corner of your screen. In my case, it's going to be in the C users AmalgamAsh and then the name of the project. You can actually right click this and then click view the path and it'll open up the folder for you. So extremely easy. All right, you see that you have an existing script folder now. If you go ahead and paste your script folder, it will simply add the files from your plugin that you just downloaded to the folder. Nothing will need to be replaced. That step's done. The next thing we're going to do is add that layout file, and the way that we're going to do that is just go right to your layout tool while you're in the engine. It'll be on the left hand side of the screen. Your navigation on the left will probably look a little bit like this, but you can just right click anywhere in the gray area and we're going to load layouts from file. It doesn't matter where you're at in the navigation on the left when you do this because all of the layouts that we load will go to the same place. So click that and now we're going to browse to where we downloaded the plugin file, crafting system, and there it is, craftinglayouts.lyrbr, and this will only open lyrbr files, so you don't have to worry about opening the wrong thing here. Just click open. After you have done that, hit OK and then apply in the bottom right hand corner. Go ahead and save your project and then close Bakin and then just reopen it, and this will ensure that we can actually see everything. So now when you go back to your layout tool, open up your in-game effects folder and then navigate to free layout for events, and you will now see all of your lovely crafting HUDs. The plugin actually comes with a variety, so you can select which one you'd like to use. The way that you do this is you'll click on crafting HUD, which is the one that is selected by default, and you'll notice that it has the hashtag crafting HUD in the management tags and notes. This is the tag that will tell the plugin that this is the default HUD that you want to use. If you'd like to use a different one, simply cut this tag out of here and paste it into one of the management tags and note sections for the alternative A or B, or crafting HUD 1280 by 720. Now we're going to leave it alone for now so we can see what kind of default stuff we are got to work with. Hit apply and then OK. Back to the editor. Go to functions near the top left corner of the screen, scroll down to expanded features, and you should see the crafting system plugin now listed as one of the expanded features. Click on that and you should get a pop-up message saying something about generating the IDs. That's perfectly normal as it generates IDs for all of the existing items that you have in your project. Now we can see this screen, but the next thing we need to do is close it and save our project. And now you can consider the plugin installed. It is completely installed and ready for us to use. So how do we use this plugin? Well, the first thing we need to do is create a common event. This common event will be accessible from any event that you make in your game from any map at all. Go ahead and just click add under common event, click custom event and click OK. We can leave everything alone here with its default settings, no trigger, execute from another event. The only thing we want to do is go to the bottom left corner of the screen here, this window where it says C# program assignment, click the arrow and choose craftingsystem.cs. Once we've done that, click apply and then OK. By the way, you can name this common event whatever you want. I've decided to name mine crafting. Very original. Alright, assuming this is the first time that you're using the crafting plugin, you should go to Functions near the top left of the screen, go to Expanded Features, and open the crafting system interface. Go ahead and click the Create Vars button. This will create the variables that you need in order to work with the crafting system. It does say that nothing will happen if you already have variables with the same names. Just go ahead and hit yes. Bakin variables created. So you can change the names of these if you'd like, from items to learn, execute learn, custom category, open crafting, and layout to use. That's entirely up to you. What the Create Vars button does is actually creates these variables for you and places them in the correct area, whether it's a switch or a string variable. Open crafting and execute learn are our switches, and items to learn, custom category, and layout to use are string variables. Go ahead and hit save. Settings saved. Let's go to the database. Database on the left-hand side of the screen. And now feel free to check through all of your items. You'll see that everything now in the management tags and notes section has its own ID, and it still has this sort of default hashtag assignment that Bakin does. We don't need this. In fact, it's completely useless with this plugin. But we're going to make these guys craftable now. So let's start by selecting the knife. First of all, let's get rid of this weapons tag. Leave the ID alone though. And there are a number of things that we're going to type here that completely control how we end up crafting this item in our game. The first thing you want to do is type money symbol craftable. This will toggle the item to be craftable in some context. Next, let's set up the materials that we'll actually need to craft this item. And to do that, we'll type MAT and then a set of parentheses. Now, if we leave it like this will actually tell the crafting system that this doesn't require any materials to craft at all. You'll just be able to craft this item and any quantity of it from nothing. But you can also tell it what materials you would like to use and what amount of each material if applicable. So we're going to enter the material ID and then the quantity. Since we're crafting a knife, let's go down and find an item that would be suitable for use as a crafting item. We'll just go ahead and choose yellow ore. That'll work for me. Note that the ID of this item is 35. We're going to go back up to our knife, and in mat, this actually needs to be mats with an S. That's very, very important. We're going to type 35:1. The colon is the separator. This is now going to tell the crafting system that we need 1 of item ID 35 to craft this knife. If we put a 2 here, we'll need 2 of these ores instead of 1 to craft the knife. If you'd like to make it to where we need more than 1 kind of material to craft this, then we'll put a comma and we'll put the ID of the second item and the amount of that item that we'll need, and so on. So that's pretty much it for the requirements to craft this item. You can go ahead and add some more optional stuff. For example, price. This will put a price on the crafting of the item itself. It has nothing to do with the actual value of the item for how much it sells for or how much you can buy it for in the game. This is the price that's actually required to craft it. This will be deducted from your balance if you do craft this item, if you have the prerequisite amount of gold. If we don't put a price, then it will be free to craft the item. It'll just cost the materials in your inventory. The hide tag will make sure that this item does not show up whenever you use a crafting station and you do not specify the type of item to craft. In other words, if you have crafting stations in your game that can craft any kind of item at all, the hide tag will make sure that this item does not show up. This knife is very special, so even if you have an Omni crafting station, this won't show up there. But it's pointless to use this tag unless you're going to use the next tag with it, and that is the category tag. Now, you don't have to use the hide tag with the category tag. You don't have to use the hide tag at all. Category tag will assign this item a category, and it is case insensitive. It doesn't matter how you type it. You could type it with a capital W or all uppercase or a mix, but we'll just type weapons, and now the knife will be a part of category weapons. When we set up our crafting stations, we can set up different categories of crafting. And so if I specify that I want a crafting station to only be able to craft weapons, this item will now appear in the selection of items that you can craft. So I think this will pretty much do for this item. I'm going to go ahead and copy these 3 arguments and go to the spirit sword, the next item on my list, and paste them here and change it to where I'll need 3 of those yellow ores to craft a sword. And we'll go to the battle axe, which is item number 55. I'm going to get rid of this tag here and paste this again. If we have 5 yellow ores, we'll be able to craft the battle axe, and that is as simple as it gets, man. Hit apply and OK when you're done setting up your items. Oh, and by the way, you can definitely make it a requirement to have these items to craft other items as well, so I could just as easily make a sword out of 2 knives, or you could make an entire upgrade system by having the weapon that you craft be one of the materials for another item. Say you get a tempering stone of some sort and your spirit blade, you can put those together to make a tempered spirit blade. You could have your tempered spirit blade and your platinum ore combined to make a platinum tempered spirit blade. You could go nuts with this system, and you could branch out and make it to where different materials become different weapons that have branching paths to become other weapons. Anyway, before I get ahead of myself, let's hit OK. We actually need to set up a crafting station now. Probably have a good forge around here somewhere, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this soup pot as our crafting station. This is the lava in which we are going to forge the weapons that shall slay the gods. Okay, whatever. Right click on your object and convert it to an event, or just sit down an advanced event. It doesn't matter what you want to do. What matters is what's in this event. The first thing we'll do is add variable box, and we're going to assign to string variable, and we're going to select items to learn. Remember that those items that we wanted the player to be able to craft had their own IDs. This is where those come in handy. If you forgot what they were, go to your database and just make a note of all of the craftable IDs that you want to use with this crafting station in particular. For me, I'm going to go with 0, 1, and 55. And that is exactly what we're going to type here. We're going to separate these IDs by commas. So 0, 1, 55. Okay, this will overwrite the items to learn string. The next thing we're going to do is transfer this knowledge to the crafting system so it knows exactly what you know how to craft. We're just going to go to switches and then turn event switch on or off, and we're going to select execute learn. Okay, so this set of event panels is going to allow you to specify what you would like the character to learn and then learn it. You never have to worry about turning this switch off. Just turn it on, and when this event is done running, the crafting system will take that, execute it, and turn the switch back off automatically, and it'll be all ready for you to set up in another event. If you were going to, say, make an item like a recipe book for the hero to use, I would put add to end on your assign to string variable event panel, but I would leave everything else the exact same. So then it would add these items to it, and then it will execute the learn. Since we're already going to know how to make this stuff by virtue of just standing in front of this special cooking pot, I'll go back to clicking overwrite. All right, there's a few more things we need to do to actually use this. So let's add another event panel. This time, again, we are assigning to string variable, and we are going to click the string category and select custom category. This is where you can determine what kind of stuff you want the player to be able to craft. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and type weapons, because all the stuff that I made are craftable weapons. There's one more thing we got to do. Go to switches and click event switch on and off, and we are going to turn on the open crafting switch. Now again, once this switch turns on, you never have to worry about turning it off, because once this event gets done running, the crafting system will open and you can go on with your crafting process. When the player is done crafting and they back out of the screen, this switch will turn back off automatically for you. So that's it. Hit apply and OK. I'm going to give our player a ton of yellow ores to start out with for our test play. And now I'm here on the map and the crafting system should be enabled. Let's just interact with our crafting station, and you can see we have the knife, the spirit sword, and the battle axe that we are able to craft. And this does interact with the mouse, so you can click on these things or you can use your keys, up, down, left, right. So there's a bunch of stuff here to take in, and a lot of these are actually toggleable, so you can have them on or off if you don't prefer to have all of this information on the screen. But this is the default layout, and by default you will see what weapons you are able to craft. If you have other items that are craftable, which I do in my database, but you don't have the knowledge to craft them from the items to learn string, they will stay question marks. And by the way, Jagonz created this excellent infographic to explain a little bit better about the items to learn switch to crafting data process. It's actually really hard to mess up the system. You can put any kind of item IDs you want in the items to learn, but it won't add anything that's invalid to the crafting data, and it won't duplicate anything. It'll just skip right over it every time you execute learn. So really, really useful. But as you can see, I can highlight the desired weapon. I have my category here, weapons, the description of the item, its icon, its name, and then its stats, as well as the dynamic stats that will indicate what will change on my character should I equip this weapon after crafting it, the attributes and resistances, buffs and debuffs, and the materials required to craft it, in this case, yellow ore. Everything is beautifully laid out for you by default. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the default price, which is 0 for this. The amount that I can craft should I choose to craft it, and whether I own any and how many I own. You can hit escape at this point to cancel crafting, or hit space or enter to be brought to the amount to craft window. And this is a window that you can toggle on and off as well. Use the arrow keys to increase or decrease the number, and then push craft by hitting enter or space. It'll give you a system message, and then you're done. Now, if you don't specify categories, you can hit shift at this point and it will actually change pages. But we did specify a category. But let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So I'll go back to the database. I'll go to Spike Shield. I'll change its category to armor. I'll leave the mats alone. It's still craftable. Get rid of that stupid armor tag. Note that it's ID 48. Apply and OK. Go back to our pot and empty out the custom category so it doesn't say anything. We'll add 48 to this list and hit apply and OK. Test play again. So we are instantly learning how to craft these things just by interacting with this, because I put all of the event panels in the same event. You might not choose to do that yourself. I see that we have a craftable item. Then when I hit shift, we go to the weapons tab. When I hit shift again, we go to the armor tab. Now you can make as many categories as you want. I just invented 2 more, but to actually get those to display and not just have the default Bakin categories of items, armors, and weapons, we're going to have to go to functions, expanded features, and click on the crafting system. And here I can explain some of the functions now. Direct crafting will bypass the amount of items to craft screen. When using default categories, you will only see the items category, and you can disable that. You can hide unknown items, so if you don't want your player to see just slots with a bunch of question marks, you click this and they won't even show up at all. You can hide the normal stats, the dynamic stats, and the resistances. If you click on the glossary, you can actually change all of the labels that are used with this plugin, so you can translate all of this stuff to whatever your native language is. For the default categories, you can change the name of items, weapons, and armor, and everything. The name of the default category, everything. A category that lists every craftable item. You must set custom category to everything to use this category. And you can name this whatever you want. So if I just put like all stuff, then save, don't forget to save, then set custom category to everything, then test play, you can see all of the beautiful changes that have taken place. Now, all stuff lists all of the weapons that I can make, and it hides all that stuff that I don't know how to make because it required materials that I don't have. Okay, a quick note on using the different HUDs. Go back to your layout tool and make note of the names of these HUDs. For example, crafting HUD alternative A, crafting HUD alternative B. Let's go edit our event script. Let's say that you want to try out crafting HUD alternative A. Let's assign to string variable. And for string and layout to use, we're actually going to type that out in full. You can do this for each of the crafting stations that you have in your game, which means that you can make whatever crafting layout you want and completely customize it to that crafting station. So if you have a different layout that you want to use for your cooking crafting versus for your blacksmith crafting, you can do that. You can really give them a lot of different flair by designing your own layouts. Anyway, hit apply and OK. And now when we interact with this, we get a different crafting interface. And that is it. That is really all of the features right now that I can show you, or the most basic version of them. I really hope that this generates enough interest that you'll go check out Jagonz crafting plugin, as buying the plugin means supporting Jagonz and enabling him to making even more awesome plugins in the future for the community. He also does a lot of free work, so I mean, it's worth supporting him just for that. I hope that you'll consider subscribing to the channel, where you can access even more premier Bakin education, and I will see you in the next video. Until next time, have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.